Roosevelt, Bob, and Tony here. It's great to speak with you again.
Hi, Roosevelt.
How you guys doing tonight?
We're doing well, and we appreciate you. I know you've been busy since we talked on the radio side. Welcome to the TV side, Roosevelt. How's things going, okay?
Everything's going good, man. You know, we just had the combine down here in Indianapolis. I've been hanging out with a bunch of former NFL guys, legends and stuff, and just having a good time.
Wow, that's great stuff. And again, we talked to Roosevelt probably around the first of the year on Thursday Night Tailgate, and he's been gracious enough to come on the TV side. Again, a little background on Roosevelt. We saw that he played 93 to 98 for the Colts, Dolphins, and Ravens, was a fullback, rushed for about 1,500 yards, had over 100 receptions in his career. From Rayville, Louisiana, graduated Rayville High School in the late 80s, went on to play and set records at the University of Louisiana at Monroe. And again, we're honored to have him on the phone with us tonight. And what we normally do, Roosevelt, we like to start the show as far as bringing you way back to your childhood. Tell us, where did you actually grow up? What sports you followed as a kid? Maybe some of your role models when you were little.
Okay. Well, when I was a kid, I grew up in a little small town. It was an agriculture town. I went to Rayville High School. All the sports we played everything. We played softball. I ran track. I threw the javelin. I ran the 100 meters. I ran the 200 meters. I ran the relay. I played baseball. I played third base. I pitched. Played shortstop, first base, center field. I was good. I could play baseball. I played tennis. I played tennis, a little bit of tennis, and that's probably where I got my being a big guy, having good feet. I played basketball. Shot marbles. Played hopscotch, foursquare, hide and go street. All the good stuff in the country, man.
And I was going to ask you about that. We always talk on the Thursday night show, Roosevelt, about people and how they grow up and all the different sports they play. And almost every NFL player we've had on has told us that the accumulation of all the sports has helped them. As you know, now these days, Roosevelt, a lot of these people, they specialize in one sport. They're kind of robotic. But every guy that played like in your era tells me the same thing, that all this stuff probably worked on different muscle groups, worked on their quickness, etc. And I guess you did it the right way.
Yeah, I did it the right way, you know. And well, it's different now, though. You know, back then we played, it wasn't for the money. It's because we love the game. Yeah. Now, a lot of people, and we wanted to get out the hood, or it was a sacrifice you had to make to play the game. Now the game is a big money game, and you want to protect your body. The better, you know, the less injuries you have, the better it is. That's why they're working it out that way. You know, you never know what you get. You know what I'm saying? You can run a 4.2, you ain't never really been hit, and you know there it is. You know, and so it's a different ball game these days. You know, these guys playing for a lot of money. You know what I mean? So. You know, you have to look out for your body. I mean, I know I sacrificed my body. That was back then, but now, you know, I got a son that's playing, so you know, I'm trying to guide him through it. You know, I don't know why anybody's scared about it. It's a good game. Like I said, the only thing about it is that, you know, a lot of things you don't know about it, but it's a good game. I love it. I never regret it. It makes me it keeps me surviving out here in this world right now. Because I play football, you know, every time you fall down, you got to get up. All those stories, you know, you always reliving your childhood. I never forget about, you know, when I grew up with, you know, poor 9 brothers and sisters. You know, my mother passed away when I was 12. My dad was in prison. You know, I was growing up on the streets by myself. You know, and got to where I got, and then I got kids. You know, I got 3 kids, 3 beautiful kids. Everybody's getting ready to go to college. I got a daughter graduating from Tulane. I got Taylor. She's an athlete. She throws the shot put at Tulane. She done broke all the Tulane records. I have a daughter named Reagan. She goes to the University of Arizona. She's not an athlete, but she's in the media. and I have my son, and he's a football player, and he just signed with the University of Cincinnati as a 4-star player. And I got a wife. You know, we've been doing this for 21 years, and I just enjoying it, man. It's doing it the other way. I'm glad that I did it my way so I could teach my son to do it a different way. So I know what you're saying, and yeah, I'm with you on that. But, you know, I'm watching these kids these days, man. They better athletes. They're not tougher, but they're better athletes, you know?
Yeah,
they're just a different kind of athlete.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to talk about that. And and as far as after you get out of high school, Roosevelt, I mean, was Louisiana, Monroe, was that a natural progression for you, or did you have other choices?
Well, I have to tell you the story. No, actually, you know, I was like a #1 recruit, you know, from my high school, Raver High School. I was like the top back in the state of Louisiana. And everybody wanted me. I had about 30-something scholarships. You know, I went to go visit Texas A&M, went to Notre Dame, went to Ole Miss, went to LSU. You know, I picked out for school, and I ended up choosing Ole Miss. But I had some trouble growing up. Got in some trouble, man, and you know, it was everybody was arguing about it, and I got in some trouble, and the prosecutor ended up telling me that I couldn't go to school no more. You know, it was like a trick. You know, I don't really want to bring it up no more because it could open up stuff, you know. But anyway,
sure.
I didn't supposed to be in the NFL, man. I tell you this story. I'm going to tell it. So I get in this trouble. You know, I'm dating this a Caucasian girl back then. You know, I'm in the South, you know. This is a prosecutor's daughters, you know, and I got in some trouble. Anyway, the prosecutor told me I couldn't leave more than 30 miles, and that ended up being Northeast Louisiana, which that was his alma mater. You know what I mean? So I had signed with Ole Miss, and then Ole Miss and LSU got into it, so the NCAA got into it, and the prosecutor got into it. After that, I ended up had to go to Northeast. But the coach that was there, name was Pat Collins, right? And that school was 20 miles from my house. You know, I was the #1 player in the state. I didn't want to go to school there. You know, I would drive past that school. It's 20 miles from my house.
Right.
So what happened is that the coach that was there, he ended up, something happened to him and his wife got in a scuffle, and they ended up firing him. And they brought in Dave Roberts. You know, I had met Dave, you know, when I went on my visit at Notre Dame. He was like the offensive coordinator. He came straight to my home and told me, hey, I know you didn't want to go here. I want to make you my #1 recruit and all that. You know, come on over here. You know, I promise you, if you're good, you know, the NFL will find you anyway. And that's what I did. I went over there, and I was up under some different circumstances. A lot of people don't know. But, you know, through that trouble of trying to get out of that stuff through high school, is that I used to go to school in the daytime and be in the jail at night, and we covered it up for a long time, and it had to come to fruition after college when I ended up, you know, going to the Senior Bowl, playing good. Me and Ted, now I'm in the draft. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now we get to the draft. And then, you know, we sitting in and everybody asking you these interviews. You got to talk these interviews and tell people all about you, you know. I tell them, like, everything about you. So I had been talking to them, but nobody ever, you know, brought that up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I kept knowing how, I kept reading about, I kept seeing guys talking about this, and then, boom, they found out what that, they was sending them home. You know what I mean? So I had this interview. And I talked to, I ain't gonna tell you the team, but I talked to this person, and I said, hey, I got this deal. I said, I know you know this and that. I said, but I got this deal. I won't tell you this story about me getting in trouble because I was dating a different color girl and this and that. And they read about the story, and then they looked at it and they decided, and boom. They said, well, I said, well, should I even tell anybody about this? They said, no, don't tell nobody. And anyway, I didn't tell nobody else about it. And I went through the draft, and I got drafted. you know.
It worked out well. I mean, second round, Roosevelt, from a small school like that, not a football power. I mean, somebody was noticing you definitely during your college years, and obviously, and we'll get to more of that as we go on. But Tony, again, we're on the phone with Roosevelt Potts. Tony, question.
And good evening, Roosevelt. It's a pleasure to have you. And,
Thank you, Tony.
Well,
Nice
thank
to be
you,
here.
sir. I really appreciate your being here. Both Bob and I do. I'm curious, were you named after any famous Roosevelts? And who is your favorite Roosevelt besides yourself?
Well, besides myself is my grandfather.
There you go.
My dad's father's name was Roosevelt Gray. He was a famous Negro baseball pitcher.
Wow.
Wow.
And he went up on a different name, but that's his real name. I don't know what his real name is. But, I mean, his name, but he was a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pitcher, and they said he could throw a curveball. When he threw the curveball, it ended up in the umpire's back pocket. I used to just laugh at that thing. Crazy. And I like Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Hey.
I like Roosevelt Links. Roosevelt Links is kind of one of my role models. Billy Sims.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson, and I tell you, the day I wanted to play football was when Franco Harris caught that ball, the immaculate reception.
Yeah, that was something.
That I decided that I wanted to play that football.
Wow.
You know, I mean, Billy Sims, they used to have the football. That's the football that my parents or whoever was raising me could afford, and I just remember Billy Sims, you know, using those footballs, throwing them up in the air, sleeping with them, hanging out with the ball.
Yeah.
All those days.
Those are great watching those teams, Tony, the Texas, Oklahoma back in the days. They're great players. You mentioned Roosevelt Leaks and Billy.
I remember Jamel Holloway was, I was playing in, but Jamel Holloway is one of my favorite football players.
Yeah, another one.
He was bad. He was good.
Great stuff, great stuff. And Roosevelt, when we were talking about on the Thursday night show, you and I had spoken those first 3 years in Indianapolis. You played under Marchibroda, Ted Marchibroda, and you guys improved every year. And, of course, 95, you actually won 2 playoff games under him. Again, you were well over 4 yards a carry every year. And you told me you had so much respect for Marchibroda. I always thought he was an incredible guy, incredible coach. Tell us more about Ted.
Ted was my favorite. Like I said, it goes back to talking to Ted at the draft. It goes to the draft. That person I was talking to was Ted Marchibroda. And he's gone now, so can't nobody do nothing about it. Yeah. And I'm retired. You know what I mean?
All right.
But he took that and actually didn't turn out the right way. Actually, they drafted me, and I got there, and I got on the jet. They flew me there. They had this alcohol on the plane, and we was drinking. And when we got there, we signed our contracts, and they went to go work us out. And we had to run like 110. And, man, I couldn't make it. We had drafted Sean Dawkins and Ray Buchanan and Darren Gray. I mean, we drafted good guys. I mean, nobody ever heard of us, so we was Lamont Warren. There was a lot of good guys out there. And, I couldn't make it. So I had to stop in the middle of the thing, and they had to pull me in on the stretcher. They had to be hooked up to this oxygen. And I remember my first encounter, they come and tell me, this guy come and say, hey, after you get off this oxygen, Ted wants you to come back to his office. I says, okay. So after I get through, he goes there. I goes back in the room through the front of the office. I'm sitting there in front of him, and he says, hey, what's going on? He said, you second-round draft. So did we make a mistake on you? I said, no. I said, Coach, I said, I've been drinking. He said, you've been drinking? Why you was drinking? I said, well, I had never been on a plane, you know what I mean? The first time on an airplane, they had all this fruit, all this chicken and alcohol, and I asked her later, I said, can I have that? She said, yeah. He said, well, you didn't know you was going to work out? I was like, no, I didn't know I was going to work out. He said, so do you want to go back to Rayville, Louisiana? He said, I hope you have a better day tomorrow. If not, that's exactly where you're going to go.
Wow.
And then I went back home and I stayed up all night. And I didn't know how I was going to perform, but the next day we did the same thing in the drill. and I was number one in it. And Ted told me, he brought me back into his office. He said, you know what, I can tell right now you're going to be a good one. What you need to do, you just need to listen and learn. You know, you're going to be a good football player one day. You just need to listen and learn. So I just started working hard, listening and learning, and kept me out to practice. Gene Hewitt was a big part of that, too. Gene and Ted, I both talked to them down in Senior Bowl. And Gene was the running back coach. Let me tell you something. You know, I thought I knew everything, but this guy stayed with me. And every back that Gene Hewitt ever had, they had over 1,000 yards, you know. We played good. We all knew football. He taught us football. I thought I knew football, but after being there, they taught me this football. And we went to camp, and I produced in camp, and they ended up saying, hey, you're going to start. And I ended up playing. I was doable. I played my butt off. You know, everything went good. Even when I had a bad time, shoot, they was there for me. So talking about Ted, man, you get emotional, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because Ted not only didn't help me, he helped, like, everybody. He didn't have to get you ready to play, you know? He picked certain kind of guys because he was a certain kind of guy, you know? You could have a little blemish on you, and he would still look at you and treat you like a man and put everything out in front of you and tell you, hey, if this happens, that's going to happen. I mean, you knew it was no surprise, you know? And I went all around other places like playing for Jimmy Johnson, shoot. He was a surprise kind of guy. You know, he'll throw all kinds of stuff on you, you know. Going from Ted Marchibroda to Jimmy Johnson was a big difference. You know what I mean? So, just talking about that guy, man, that guy was he was stand-up dude.
Yeah, and you played so well under him, Roosevelt. I mean, your carries went down each year while he was coaching, but your average per carry went up. You were doing a lot in short yardage situations, and to average almost, like in '95, to average almost 5 yards per carry in short yardage is phenomenal. And,
well, that's funny too. Let me tell you what happened with that.
Yeah,
he was the man about that too. I begged them to trade me. I had an offer to Miami. I begged them to trade me, and they wouldn't do it. They told me, I said, well, Coach, we drafted Marshall Faulk. I looked at the tape at Marshall Faulk. I said, man, this guy's better than me. I said, now I'm going to have to, I started thinking about the Hall of Fame. I said, I won't be a Hall of Fame. I'm probably going to be a fullback. Fullbacks don't, exactly what I was thinking happened. But I made the best of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even after Ted left during that year, I really wish that my knee wouldn't have got blown before we finished the playoff, because I always have to think about that, because if I was there, we'd have won that game. We were so hot. We were strong. That one leg catch, that one leg extra yard by Lamont Warren or Quentin Coyot catching that pass. Man.
Yeah, it was
great.
It was great. I was talking about the '95 year. They were hot, and finally it beat San Diego, beat Kansas City, Tony, and then they lost to Pittsburgh. And
favorite word, let it rip.
Yeah.
You tell everybody, let it rip.
But
that's it. Rosie, let it rip, Rosie.
Yeah.
They never went to a game. Always smiling. Always smiling.
Wow.
And actually, that's cool, because the week that they inducted me into the Legends community for the Colts,
right.
Ted was there. Me and Ted sat together.
Wow.
We sat together that week, and like 2 weeks later, he passed away.
Boy.
It was he had broke his hip. It was but he's a good man.
Yeah.
His son was my agent.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Ted Jr. was my agent. Took care of me, yeah. I can remember when I first got my check. I'm a country guy. I never had that kind of money.
Right.
And they give me a check, a signing bonus, $600,000, right? And I'm scared to take it. So I tell Ted, I said, Ted, can you keep this for me? He said, you got to put this in the bank. I said, Coach, I ain't never done nothing with no bank. I don't know how to do nothing with no bank. He said, you need to talk to your agent. And I said, my agent might take my money. He said, hey, your agent is my son. He ain't going to take your money. I said, well, all the other agents do. And he laughed.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
What a
it's funny.
Yeah, it's amazing how you're in tune with that Marchibroda family. And every guy we've talked to, Roosevelt, who had anything to do with Ted, said he was such a great guy, and they knew his X's and O's, but just an incredible human being. Tony, question for Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, I can only imagine when you show up in the NFL, it's a whole lot different than college. And how was it different for you, and what'd you have to adjust to?
Well, the thing that surprised me the most about football was the speed.
Mm-hmm.
Being 20, playing against. I mean, it was different because they bring you in. You got guys your speed, but you think it's gonna be that way when they get there, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. You playing with men. You got people 25, 27, 23, a little bit older than you. And when all the guys get out there, everything just gets faster. When you was, strutting with the guys that came in with you, everybody telling you how you look. When they mix you all up, you start falling back there to the back of the line trying to see what's happening because everything moving so fast. It's just, toughness. Everybody there, they run the same speed. You know what I mean? Had to practice every day. You had to teach the person behind you every day. If you was a leader or a captain, you had to teach a guy how to take your job every day. Because even if that kid didn't perform, you would get a grade on that, and that could demote you out of a position. You know what I mean? You're not when the coach is not with the guys, then the guy that's the man has to take the guys out to eat or sit with them, ask them what they know, keep them ready. It's supposed to be like you don't even supposed to be able to replace nobody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I remember at Zach Crockett, and that's probably how I got another opportunity. Because after Ted left there, everybody thought I was washed up. And after I blew my knee out, Zach Crockett came in there, and you didn't even know Roosevelt Potts was missing. That's why they got rid of myself.
Right.
And I look at that. I looked at that now, and that was the best thing because that kid learned from me and Gene Huey and Marshall Faulk and Lamont Warren. I mean, we just had a good group of guys, man. We had good coaches too. We had good coaches. All we had to do was play. All the players that they brought in there, they were good. We just needed to play. We just needed to learn how to play together and not be selfish.
And you mentioned Marshall Faulk, Roosevelt. I mean, that's a Hall of Famer, and we know that's a very special type of player. He didn't seem like, I think you told us a few stories about him. I mean, he didn't seem like in practice that he had to go at full speeds all the time, and if you watched him at times, probably everybody would say he's not that impressive, but when he got on the field on game day, he was a different player.
Man, he really wasn't. Marshall was the calmest guy. Marshall taught me how to be calm. Marshall was the calmest guy. I mean, they say that about Marshall, and Marshall was the calmest guy. I mean, and like I said, when I finally said, hey, I'm going to fullback, Marshall came and sat with me and said, hey, man, don't go nowhere. We're going to be thunder and lightning. We're going to do this and do that. And we did it. He didn't lie to me. We did. I mean, he broke his records. We did a lot of good stuff together. I mean, they still have contact with me now. I mean, we run into each other Super Bowl. I seen him. I could have talked to him the other day, but he was down on the field with the combine. So
yeah.
It's a good feeling to work with a guy like that. Listen, he could be a coach too. I mean, smart guys. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't know that Ted. We had a crazy kind of offense when we was playing. I mean, you wouldn't believe that. We had, we would call the plays, the backs, the centers, you know, and I mean, we was just that good, you know.
Yeah.
Tell the quarterback check, you know what I mean? Check. I mean, we all knew their offense. That was like the most important thing. And Lindy Infante, he did a good job on teaching it. I mean, he did a good job at that. I mean, we had some studs, man. And they wasn't superstars. And Marshall never act. I mean, Marshall was a quiet guy. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He was always a quiet guy.
Very much so.
You know, but every now and then, you know, he would come and visit me and check on me, you know, make sure I'm all right, make sure I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, trying to get me to be a billionaire like he was, but, you know, hard-headed, wouldn't listen. You know, but I'm a thousandaire, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but it's all right.
You got a couple minutes left with Roosevelt Tony.
And Roosevelt, you were playing at one time with the XFL, and how did that all come about?
I got bored. I wanted to go back and try to come back into the NFL, and I thought it was a good place to go because I've seen a lot of other NFL guys going. So I decided to go. And it was good too. I mean, I had fun. It was a great opportunity. I mean, it was. I mean, we made a lot of money too. We made $200,000 on it. So wasn't bad for a year.
Yeah.
And didn't have to do no exercise.
Yeah.
It was the perfect league, man.
And Roosevelt
didn't have to lift weights, didn't have to do nothing, just practice and go home and go to Applebee's, drink some beer.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
I'm serious.
Hey, Roosevelt, I want to ask you a final question as far as, you know, you had a lot of bumps in the road. You've told us about them. You've told us about things on Thursday night. Still had a good career. Do you get the chance a lot, Roosevelt, to talk to young kids, to young guys, college kids, whatever, and can you teach them a lot from what happened to yourself to make them better individuals?
That's exactly what I do. That's my job.
There you go.
And I'm always at different places, and that's why I seem to work with, and that's usually what I do. I started with my kids. I had to work with my kids first because, you know, they'd be around me. So you can't just go out telling people nothing until you straighten yourself up, you know, at home. And I got all my kids going in the right direction, and those things still come up, things still happen. You know, a writer or a report or a late night owl when you're supposed to be in can turn into some drastic stuff. So,
oh boy,
you know, sometimes you just gotta learn how to keep your head on, and that's why I'm always preaching to the choir, and I'm in the choir, and that's why I never feel bad about things that I say because I really mean them when I, try to tell somebody to do the right thing. But I know nobody's perfect, so I don't really be too much down or too much, up when things happen. I just be trying to figure out how to fix it, you know, what I need to do to fix it. How can I get better? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
if people just, take life like that, and sometimes there worries a lot of people around me because I just take it like that because, I go through anything you go through. You just try to, you know what's fair to yourself. You can't lie to yourself and say, hey, if you did something, you got to pay for something. It's something something got to come out of it. Yeah. Well, you can't never, it could be a miracle or it could be what it be, but you can't be fooling yourself like nothing ain't going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to just, keep yourself balanced, go to the right people, do the right thing, and just hope everything work out. You know? And how it turned out. That's how it worked out. So that's how it worked out. You know what I mean?
That's right.
I just thank God for all the times that I had to cry to him and plead to him and then to the people, to everybody. I mean, there's some times, man, but when you get older and when you get wiser and when you get spiritual, see, there's a lot of different ways you got to grow. I've just been a guy. I'm starting to grow spiritual a little bit, and I ain't trying to be too much. But it's still, to me, even because I made it this far, I have to still look out because, some of the stuff sounds cuckoo, and then some of the stuff's down laid back. You know what I mean? So I got to use my common sense, and you know, and look, whenever the Lord's touched you, you know, it ain't no more cuckoo. You know what I mean? So I've been touched by God, and so I'm all right. I can live in this world. My family can live. I can live. You know, and that's important. And a lot of people can't live. A lot of my friends are committing suicide and you know, stressing out and still not believing in themselves, and you know, all these different struggles. You have to talk to these guys and you see them. You know, like I said, it gets emotional and it's tough, but it's what it's what I'm part of, and as long as I'm able, you know, I'll still be there to stand in the gap for the guys that can't stand for themselves. You know, just try to get them an encouraging word and stay positive and stay out of trouble and just do the right thing. You know, a lot of times it takes guys getting around guys, because finding out now a lot of our guys are staying inside their homes and not coming outside, and it's you know, finding that stuff out is crazy.
Well, we're very proud of what you've done with your life, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you, Roosevelt. I mean, we'll definitely keep in touch. I'm sure we'll be talking on the radio side again on the 2-hour Thursday night show. That'll be down the road, and we'll definitely have you on here, definitely anytime football season arrives, because we got a lot more to ask you, a lot more things we could talk about, a lot of your teammates, etc. But we'll be in touch with you, and I want to wish your son luck, and all your other kids are doing so great, but your son, starting at Cincinnati, and you told me all about him. Wish him luck for us, and you keep in touch, my friend.
Okay, thank you, my brothers, and y'all have a good night.
Good night, Roosevelt.
Take care, Roosevelt. Take care.
You, sir.
Good night.